let's
There
not
we go.
start.
We're up.
Let's not start with an applause.
Okay, cool. Let's just.
You want to wait a couple seconds, make sure that people have it loaded? We'll give them 5 seconds.
YouTube says it's live. Don't you believe it's live?
Trust YouTube with anything ever? I don't know.
I know.
Look how far behind it
We're
is.
streaming on them. Let's just...
Yeah, but it's always that far behind for streaming.
Right. Okay, we're in no particular order today.
All right, how are you guys doing?
Nice.
Good.
That was beautiful.
Good. Nothing.
We gotta-
Nothing.
we
You're
gotta-
just gonna jump into it. No, like intro. Like
That's all we need.
This
Like, how
is-
are you guys doing? Nice.
This is our intro.
it is. And go back.
It's right here.
Already
So.
up.
Yeah, it's
You
right
guys are-
there.
Wait, what are you guys putting then at this still?
Woo!
Yeah. We got a LinkedIn now, so you can put that for experience
Nice.
on that. So I need to update mine.
Yep.
I'm not gonna update it live, but
Like, show your message
like
again.
under pressure of everyone.
We'll update the page soon. We'll get all the
Yeah.
tagline and everything. We'll put the website in here and all that jazz.
This is an amazing step.
But for now,
Yeah.
you can at least put it under your experience.
Yeah, and feel free to post any project updates if you have an active project or anything kind of like.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we can
could-
really share stuff on
Wait,
here.
our active projects that maybe actually are more active, we could add them as projects with 1L or with oneleif, right?
Yeah, we can
Like
get it
you can
more.
add projects, right, in LinkedIn as you do.
Yeah, okay.
Like it becomes kind of official. I mean.
Yeah. Under your profile, you can add.
We should also post all. We should get another project showcase going. I'm writing that down.
Oh yeah, nice YouTube showcase.
Yeah. So for those of you who aren't
We have
aware,
the first one.
1 sec, sorry.
I'm gonna chat.
2. So we had a project showcase back in the past. Haha. Might as well give them a little glimpse.
That was quick.
Yeah. So the project showcase is just going through all of like the oneleif current. Yeah, doesn't that look good?
No, we should animate that for the next one.
Oh, we should. We gotta have Susie make a GIF of it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So yeah, the One Leaf Project Showcase is just showing off all the stuff that the One Leaf members are making, whether it's a website, game, app, whatever you're working on. So I will ping everyone that isn't watching this video for
Yeah.
for submissions. All you gotta do is send me a video, and I'll add it to the list. Next topic. I'm just gonna delete it as we go.
Can't even play the game either, I guess.
Nope.
Oof. We'll do that another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So interest survey. We keep forgetting to do that.
Skipping over C-Core?
Oh,
Are we doing that after?
I was just gonna get
Because
all the
good.
One Leaf stuff out of the way.
yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'll take all the fun stuff at the end.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah.
So I assume the flow from now on should go One Leaf stuff, user submitted One Leaf stuff, and then funsies. Like so. Anyways.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna throw out an interest survey where we'll ask what languages you're using, what frameworks you're using. You know what? It would be really nice if we could like borrow the Stack Overflow survey that they do every year.
Yeah.
Just have everybody fill it all out, and then we can figure out what people want to do, what they currently do, what they like, what they don't, what they have done but don't like.
Can you not share it? Like, if you've taken it, you can't share your results? I guess they're supposed to be anonymous. Or are they?
I've
yeah,
never tried
yeah.
that.
Surveys are supposed to be anonymous.
We'll look into
so.
that. We'll look into that.
But, I mean, that's a good model. I think we'd be open to suggestions on what to have on the form. Obviously, like, interest in language or interest in platform and just getting specific. But, like, where you are, I don't really know, and I'm open to suggestions on that.
We just need more open source projects. We only got the website, C-Core, and if Will Wade does his disability enhancement
I
stuff.
think our interests in what you joined the first time is already a good pointer as well.
It's a good point of reference.
Yeah.
But we
That's a
need
good start.
some like
But then after-
aggregate form.
After that, it's like the second version. The second version mean like, okay, there are 100 people who are into web, which is already for some reason way more than how many people are into like design or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then like, what are they interested in web at that? So it would be like the next level to that. So
You see, that's what I like. That's why I like to have the interests channel. Because now we kind of have a feel for what people are at least interested in. Maybe not what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're lacking from this is the frameworks that they actually want to use.
yeah, exactly. It'd be like, how do we sub this, right?
Yeah.
Because this already shows us really good stuff, but yeah, how do we get
I don't know. Maybe we get like something going for each one of them. So like we already have a web project started with the One Leaf website. Maybe we get a One Leaf game, a One Leaf Android and iOS app, which we're going to.
Yeah,
but
we have that in plan.
But yeah, we don't have anything for like music or modeling or whatnot. I don't know. If we do a game, we can get music modeling.
What is the map one about?
AR/VR. It shows you the icons.
The map.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't figure out a good icon for AR/VR.
It's a pretty good one, honestly.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm surprised they don't have a AR.
Headset.
You know, like or yeah.
It should be that cube that Apple has.
Yeah, the cube, the 3D cube.
Yeah. Should have just done sunglasses.
Sunglasses for
for AR.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, we'll come out with a survey and we'll figure out another open source project to get everybody on. We're still in the process of setting up the oneleif website. Terminally Will is a badass and got the skeleton set up for the front end. Zach and I, yeah. Thanks, man.
There you go. Nice little clap.
Zach and I have started working on the API, but there's more to come. We're just going to start getting the homepage and blogs done first.
Yeah, and we got to lay out and UML type it, architect it and get it more drawn out before we just start writing routes and, handlers.
The hard part,
like that,
I guess it's not the hard part, but the part that takes a little bit more thought is we want to make the API the same for the Android and iOS app. Mm-hmm. We have to figure out how we want. We have to put a little bit of thought into how we want the apps to look, so that way we can make sure we have all the right data.
Yeah, no.
I mean, not that it's terribly hard to add it later, but I don't want to deal with that. Mm-hmm. Do it right. Do it once.
Good point.
Anyways, so look for the interest survey. Are we allowed to say their name? Should I have put CRI?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah.
I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, so we have a potential partnership that it happens to be partnership in my work, but I spoke with the owner of the company and just kind of talking about potentially bringing in recruiters. This has been like the partnership deal we've wanted to kind of roll out to, outreach to companies and also help internally. So the idea is to have a recruiters channel or recruiting channel where actual recruiters can come in from other companies and show jobs or job opportunities, or even maybe mentor or answer some questions on like what to put on your resume or what they're even looking for.
Or even common interview questions would be cool.
Yeah, so kind of like that. But then also we have a company outreach for projects. If any like local company is doing open source, and I mean local by being just smaller. I don't mean like just where we're located. I mean any company that's open like to open source, like Will's UK, like all that stuff was by one person, right?
I forget the name of their company.
But yeah, like those people, we'd love to help contribute. We just at the point we'd want to expect projects coming in, and we'd want a more formal thing where,
Ace Center.
So yeah, like that. But we want a more formal agreement between oneleif and the company to better get backed by the company and oneleif. So when you put it on your resume as a project or anything that you've worked on, you can get backed by this company because you've done work by them, and it's kind of a mutual benefit of they just get open source development and they can lead the project, just like how we have the active projects right now. So they just become a branch owner and have their own active project channel. So that's kind of the idea. So yeah, it's kind of in the works. We're still talking, so we still have to draft up the agreement and propose that to them. So we're still in the drafting phases, but we'll let you guys know when anything happens. And of course, you'll see people joining. And we're thinking, maybe I spit this out to Parshav during lunch or coffee, adding ranks specifically for partners so that you know that they're from there.
Or maybe a rank for recruiter.
Yeah, I mean...
Recruiter partner, yeah, something along those lines.
I mean, if a developer joins specifically from like a partner, then I don't know if it's like I mean, they can be a part of that and still a developer, like what I mean.
It'd be good to have that distinction, at least, so we can know by reference.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'd imagine I don't know where they'd go, but we'd work it out later. Because if you want to look for, if you see a company that you're maybe interested in, then you can hit some recruiters up or something to kind of understand the atmosphere of that, or get kind of even, an idea of what the day in the life of is there specifically. But yeah, so that's kind of the partnership thing, but that's applied to anywhere. We're just kind of trying to get our feet on the ground for one company. So.
All right.
It's for good luck. We banged the table for
well,
good luck.
I was planning on doing design patterns next, but we already got C-Core open.
Nice.
So our bro Hyperion over here has this awesome project where he's working on basically doing the layout for a new language that's very C#-esque, but it's built for high performance. So if you go into his docs, he has tons of specifications for how everything should work. So for example, we could go into arrays.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. This is really laid out a lot more where you go into it, and there's quite a bit laid out, so it's a great project to kind of read on, understand, and then maybe help contribute, on a small, little markdown file. You don't have to go, big in that stuff. It's more of contributing with the project owner and understanding what their goals are, but then also the little community that's helping, too, of, just bouncing around ideas like what we were doing in chat today. So...
Yeah, for this project, I think it's kind of perfect for oneleif because you don't necessarily have to hop on it specifically. You can almost just do what we were doing in chat and just kind of say, oh, hey, I see how this thing is, but here's how another language does it, and I think it might be better. So I think that conversation is at least fun, and it's definitely useful to have experience in your career where you're kind of a polyglot. For those of you who don't know what that word is, it's a person who's a master of multiple languages. It's from linguistics. I learned that today, by the way.
PIL. I call that my one PIL for the night. End it right there.
Anyways, so yeah, feel free to check out that project. Do we have any updated messages before we move on? Haha. That's awesome. I like how we added mutable too. I didn't see that the first time.
Yeah, you gotta really dive into the docs before that's why it's I need to read a bit more. I've read a few of the docs that he's had, and they're well written. I really like
monitoring things like this is just as useful as monitoring the drafts for what would be implemented in a language like Swift. If you watch an open source language and you can see usually they're terribly long papers, but you at least get the background as to why this feature needs to be added to the language.
Yeah, but when you actually draft up, I haven't done it, but see the people that aren't in any relationship to the company or anything like that, or to the language, just that they use it, they contribute to the language by writing up a proposal, it gets accepted, and they wrote up something similar to one of these docs where it was showing something and examples of why this should be in the language and why it's harmful right now or hard to use, and the proposal, and then from there they actually help develop the code to put it in the language.
Most notably, we were talking about this today actually, there was a draft put in there. Oh man, was it in resources? Yeah, the new diagnostic architecture.
Yeah.
They're adding way better error handling, and that was added by some rando, wasn't it?
Let's see.
Error handling and the compiling, though.
Yeah, but this is the whole compiling. So they have a whole team in that stuff, but this is kind of crazy on the whole Swift side if we just talk about this. But this is more related by... Oh, yeah. Well, show the example.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The examples are down here.
I thought it was super sweet, because these are things that even I wasn't a huge fan of when I was using Swift. Where is it? Type of expression is ambiguous. What does that give me?
whoa, dude, you're using generics. That's my defense. But no, it actually shows you now specifically what the type is for the generic or anything like that, or the variable passed in. And then it also works a lot better with generics. So now it's not just going to be generic type could not be
that. And the other big problem was that if it hit one bug, the compiler would break going down in the file.
Generic type could not be inverted. It's almost ambiguous reference. That's the best one. That should be its own meme.
Your error is ambiguous.
Yeah, no. Oh, jeez, type is ambiguous. But then no, I love how they put in the Swift UI example ones.
Oh, yeah.
Because these were the worst. These are beyond errors. Yeah. These are lies, and it is once you mess up one thing, be it rotation doesn't have a T, it's just whatever. But here, they have a better example of they messed up system red. Yeah.
It was, instead of color, it was a double.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, it gets so confusing.
I wonder how they did it with Swift UI though, out of all things. Because the auto code is more imperative. Kind of makes sense how they fixed it.
Yeah, the DSL it has to be really weird because everything in here is ideally just wrapping itself.
Exactly.
So
how do they even do that? That's pretty interesting.
They have to like unwrap it. I don't. Yeah. But
it's
the
all,
the
like,
more interesting part, and kind of the reason I shared this specifically for C-Core, is because they go through their type inference overview, and they show you how they do a constraint generation, or what they call constraints. And
it was super cool seeing how their compiler works, and the algorithm behind it.
Yeah, no, but it just goes so far in depth of showing you, okay, this simple little function, they show you the constraint generation behind it. I think, was it in here?
No, if you keep scrolling, it'll show you. There's a diagram. Yeah, see?
Oh, yeah. See, it's just talking about this one, and it just goes in quite in depth of this. But,
basically, they're like they show you like why they do things the way they do. Like one of my favorites. If you go back up, it basically you don't have to go back up, but
this one's good.
It basically says like for the string +1, like when I'm trying to figure out what the return value type is, rather than going through all the possible types and trying to conform the left side and the right side to it, let's start with plus. And if I can figure out what all things are plusable, then that narrows the amount of types that I have to iterate through to figure out what the correct type is.
Yeah, so the really interesting kind of part of it was this doc outside of it, which linked to, in the docs, the type checker. And again, they touch on it. I mean, yeah, this just really goes into
yeah.
This
They're
is
so
the detail.
long.
This is what they call the detail one, and it's like I still need to read through it all of it, but I took a read at the first and a little just scrolled through it. But oh my goodness,
insane, dude.
Too many docs to Swift. I should just make it like download this and just read this on my iPad. There's too many. All right, but yeah, no.
All right, next topic. You ready? Quit scrolling through this.
Right.
Design patterns. All right, let's go. Let's make sure we check the chat and make sure nobody's asked any questions before we move on.
All right.
Not that there's probably very many people watching, but good habit, right? Not a thing. Discord, also not a thing. We're perfect. Cool.
Cool.
All right, so we had a guy ask us to chit chat about some design patterns.
Yeah.
He said he's recently working on a Node.js project using MVC, switched to Android using MVC. So maybe maybe for a future stream cover which. Whoa!
Oh no! I'm sorry. I just wanted to make it bigger. Oh, it doesn't wrap?
You have to go to format or view.
Edit or format?
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Word wrap. There you go.
Wow. I'm sorry.
There we go.
Okay.
We should have done this at the beginning. My bad.
Yeah. No. All right. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So covering which design patterns are good for what. I'm gonna let you guys go first because Unity game development is a gigantic pain in the ass.
Okay. Let's start off by saying that.
Well, he says MVVC.
Yeah.
Like, is that MVVM or like I haven't seen.
It might have been a typo.
No, I think Model View Controller is a web-centric thing.
Yeah, but VVC.
Oh, view controller.
That's where I'm confused on. Like, is that iOS?
Like, okay, so for iOS, a big one. There's two big ones that at least I'm aware of. I mean, you can obviously do MVC, which is the old kind of style that we did it way back in Objective-C, and that was just you got huge view controllers, and they're
not controller.
But for MVVM, which is model view model, that's mainly what we use in iOS. There's also Viper. I haven't used that before, but I heard that's really good. We've used kind of a
should we pull up like a
let's
while you're chit chatting,
because we can just name off a few and then talk about them. And these are the main two of iOS. So
nope, that's not gonna work. We're gonna need MVVM versus
Viper.
Viper. I read an article on these the other day. I've never heard of anybody actually using Viper.
So yeah, I guess like I take from this article of kind of blurring the lines because we started with MVVM, which is view model and model, and then we started adding these we called them coordinators and presenters. So we mixed it in.
So we kind of have a bastardized MVVM.
Yeah, because it has the same view, interactor and entity. Like entity is close to model. Like interactor is okay. It's pretty close.
Scroll down a bit.
So
sorry.
Interesting. So presenter is like your view model.
Yeah, you can think of it kind of like that.
And navigation is a router. Oh, so that's like your navigation. So how do you like reconcile that with using UI navigation, like from UIKit?
So the thing I understand about, at least in MVVM, it was really, there's a lot of boilerplate with it, because for every view you need to make a view model, and then there's models for those. So I mean, the models are from the API or wherever, or like a user or something like that. But then you have any view you have a view model. The thing with Viper, at least what we're trying to get away from, for my perspective as MVVM and actually using that for a full project, we're trying to get more of, okay, we have a deck of cards, or some arbitrary data structure of cards where we can just grab them at any time and just navigate them and have coordinated routes for it. And so that's where we got our coordinator, where I have a fab or a floating action button on the bottom, and that fab just knows to go places and it knows how to present itself. But I don't want the fab to magically teleport places in this app. So it's really easy to make a coordinator that knows the routing and how to present something. Is it a push or is it a show, like a modal, and how to get rid of it or dismiss it, and then also present the last thing shown. So that's kind of like where we went from on the MVVM, and kind of where I understand Viper to be, except it's a little bit more extreme of, like, view models are kind of split between a presenter and an interactor. Where I don't know. There was another one that we checked out that was more of a reactive one, where you had actions and that stuff and all the enums.
Redux.
Yeah. So
Redux is pretty interesting.
Yeah. So those are the few that I know. So I mean, do you want to take off for Android?
Very similar, obviously. So like when you're doing mobile development, anyways, it's pretty nice to keep architecture as close as you can. Just so it's easy to talk between platforms. Honestly, you want to have similar architectures, and that's kind of what we do here at work as well. So we follow like a model view presenter-ish thingy, but we do have a view model as well. Mm-hmm. And it kind of works a similar way, where it's like the view model works with the view, but the view talks generally directly only to the presenter. So it goes upstream in one way, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In very rare cases, you have to expose things from the view model in a way that if the presenter updates, or if the view has to update from the API or something, the view model is talked to again, right? So it goes like from the view model to the view to the presenter, back to the view.
Okay,
but it all kind of cycles in.
Yeah.
That's a very popular way to do it. Very easy way to work with it. Under the hood, eventually, like, it depends on how you're connecting everything up and how easy it is to connect up your view model to the view and then the view to the presenter. Mm-hmm. So like we use a reactive pattern at work, heavily using like RxJava or RxSwift. But then with everything new coming into play right now from like both platforms, it's like you can use like coroutines or something. You can use live data from Android as well, which like provides callbacks instead of using Rx. Mm-hmm. So there's like everything you use under the hood, I feel like matters way more than the pattern. The pattern is really great for like understanding how you're laying out your product, of course.
Yeah.
Model view model is like simple. It's really simple. It's really nice. That
way. Yeah. I've seen the only negative being the boilerplate of
exactly.
Oh, well, great. I have a new view now. I need to make a view model. Unless you want to just break everything and just have this view know everything what it does. And then another thing I've noticed is how you handle the view model. There's a lot of dependency injection of either do you inject the view model, do you just create the view model because it should just be creatable and configurable. Like
we inject it.
And the project that I work on right now actually kind of... They do it reactively. Yeah. So they expect it later. And that means that it can come in at any time and reconfigure so it changes because like DI is like you get it and you should just expect it. It should be there. Yeah. When you create it, it's like boom, I always have my view model. And then mine is expected to be at any time, so like my whole view is a
random form at that point.
Yeah, a random form. Like
something we've always debated as well is like let's say we have like a screen that's gonna pull up a URL or something, right? Mm-hmm. And we have to provide like a URL to that screen. Like, do you provide the view model the URL and then push that to the controller, the view controller, or then at that point do you just inject it directly to the controller because like literally it's like one string and whatnot? Like how far? Yeah. I guess it's like we're not even having to test anything because it's literally gonna be the same URL. Yeah. So things like that is also like something we're bringing up. It's like I'm not sure where to divide that, and you you gotta work on like what are you exposing and whatnot, of course.
Yeah, and do you like
What's
if
the
you have a
complications?
view that has like 3 text fields or whatever, do you make a model like yeah? And so
At
now
some
you know how much you have to make.
Yeah.
So
I can say that at least the architecture on the web is definitely like different than architecture on the phone, but at the same time, and this futuristically speaking, it might eventually converge in some way.
Yeah.
But right now it's definitely way different, just because of how like phone apps are made right now natively. SwiftUI and stuff will change that design.
It's changed.
Like, yeah,
there's quite a bit.
the architecture of like SwiftUI, even Flutter for that matter, which is like very similar, are so different than like MVC patterns that we usually talk about. So
Yeah, and so I have noticed the most use in MVC is like Vapor Backend is strictly MVC.
that's component, right?
And-
For C, is it controller or component? That's what I'm.
Controller in that case.
Okay.
Because they have controllers that have the routes and handle their routes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it works great in there. I don't see
Exactly.
views working in the web that much because the back end doesn't go with the front end. It's like
It's like on
and
the
I haven't
website,
had too much experience with it.
on the website I've seen like it's just so like it's so tied down in a way. It's like tied down mean like they've built the web frameworks in a way where you're like almost forced to create a component for a view and whatnot in a way. I'm not sure if I'm saying the terminology right, but they almost like force this component structure where you have to like separate out your things most of the time.
I think a componentized or modular structure is
Modular
like,
structure, key.
yeah, like
It's actually key.
it's just like your code. If you're gonna make a giant controller, you're gonna want to have like reusable functions or reusable components.
For sure.
Dude, reusable components. You just make me think of SwiftUI. It's just libraries and frameworks are. I guess frameworks are like views now. Like you'll have one whole GitHub repo, and it'll be for a URL loading image, and it's just one view.
It's pretty awesome.
I love it. It's so much.
I think that's why things like WordPress thrive.
Really? I
'Cause
mess too much with WordPress.
So
I gotta stay away.
Like you lost me.
WordPress is literally just like reusable components. Like you drag and drop a header, you drag and drop like a blog page, a whatever, and then you apply a theme to it. And that's like it.
True.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then, like-
it's still the same.
Yeah, and then like for example, like if I don't know, I use this plugin called Elementor that basically had like everything broken down into blocks. So you can have like a block of like 4 images, a block of like just like a giant image that would be like a banner with a title, like, and then all of them would have like configurable options that would basically let you, if you don't want to do an image, you could put a video in. If you don't like, it was super awesome.
Yeah,
Huh.
I agree. Having components, especially in like UI creation like that, is key. Mainly because like, and I remember this discussion on when like Flutter was released last year at least, was like in mobile development at least, like on both platforms a year ago, prior, like everything was just like the standard, you have a view controller or a storyboard for making your views, XML files like for an Android. But like what Flutter brought and even SwiftUI now brings is the fact that like you can mix things up in a way that you never thought you could, because everything is just a component. Now you can throw things around however you want to, in ways that you never thought of before. And like people are making things that are like way too cool that you thought was like hard or like impossible to make otherwise.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. Honestly, that's the part that gets pretty cool. So MVC was MVVM or MVC.
What about game development? What kind of data structures have you used?
Okay, so game development kind of just throws a wrench in everything.
Redux.
So it's basically MMMMVCCCCCC. A bunch of models, you have one view and a bunch of controllers. So okay, let's just take we'll just do an example. We're making a first person shooter. You have one view, you have a camera that's displaying from your player's perspective, right? So technically you have one view that you're rendering to, but you could have multiple quote-unquote views or components. Like I would have a component for my HUD. Yeah, you'd have a component for your HUD. You'd have a component for your options menu, for your main menu. And for example, so everything's split up into scenes, right? So you have one scene that's just your main menu, and then when you click on level 1, it basically de-renders the entire scene and then loads everything necessary for level 1.
Someone's asking for the link. Is it?
I sent it to him.
Oh.
Did I not? Did it not go? Was it YouTube?
Oh.
Yeah, I sent it.
Wait.
Oh, okay.
Hyperion didn't have the link.
Thanks. That was quick.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I was playing on my phone. So
Scenes.
yeah, back to where I was. So, the weird part is every it almost feels like some sort of web-based technology, because every thing that you're trying to every view that you're trying to render, you have to attach some sort of script, right? So for example, for my main menu, I have one script that's on the parent of the entire UI, right? And that basically says if you hit escape, toggle off the current panel that you're looking at, like level selection, toggle on the options menu. And then on the options menu, it have another script that's just like options menu controller. And then when you click on options, it will hide the panel that shows continue, options, and exit game, and it'll pop up in the actual options menu. And then when I get into the actual game, I want that same options menu, so I just create, they call it a prefab, and I can literally just drag and drop it, and I just attach it to my player because I want the UI to follow them. The nice part is every scene that you have, you can make prefabs for. So if I have a player, and on my player I have a script attached for movement, camera movement, tracking his progress, all that jazz, animation. I'd have a script for each one of them that's broken down, so that way when I go into a new scene, I can either make a prefab of the player with all the components on it, even including colliders, I could drag and drop that into a new scene and I could change all those, or prefabs are almost like object-oriented, because you can either create a variant, which allows you to change a property, so I could delete the UI if I'm in the tutorial, for example, or if I make that change, I can create a new prefab that's a child of that, of the original.
Okay.
Which is super cool.
So then, how do you manage global state data in that?
So
do you make an actual object for that, or is it just calls? Singleton? Yeah.
You can do it multiple ways, right? So I could just have a static file with constants. Or, for example, I want to load, at the beginning of the game, I want to load player preferences, right? I have some local file that's storing what my sensitivity is, what my volume is, what my resolution was set at last time I played.
Yeah.
So when the game loads, I'm in the main menu scene, right? And I load all those player preferences and I put it into a game manager. And typically what happens when you start a new scene is it destroys everything in your scene and creates everything that starts out in the next scene. However, attached to any script in the awake method, awake meaning what happens when that object is created. Yeah. Awake and start are very similar. Anyways, you can put a don't destroy on load, which basically means don't destroy this object when you load a new scene. So what you do is you create a singleton and you tell it not to destroy on load. However, when you load new scenes, it's going to try and recreate that, so you have to make sure you destroy the correct one. That's the only problem that you have with that.
Okay. I only have two questions.
Yeah.
First one, how do you what part of the game do you test if you had to test? How do you?
I just play it.
Is that the only way to test though?
You can do unit tests in Unity, but I don't.
Alright. I was wondering. I've been curious about that.
Unity has a test suite that I tried in a class at college.
The only way I can think of adding tests is I guess scripts. When we were talking about for your new game, the bunny hop one, where if you're turning, giving an angle and then just expecting the right number at a certain random velocity or something like that, I guess. But it's really hard to test because all you have to test is numbers that can be reproduced, that can be mocked or initialized at start. If you have a map, maybe at some point you test it something on it if it's all connected or anything like that. I mean, you probably have that in your initial thing, but you need to redundantly test it because you might change it later. You might change something, just tweak a property, and then boom, it's gonna change something and you won't expect it, but then your tests fail and you at least have an idea.
So testing in Unity is really hard because when I see two issues with it. One, physics. I don't calculate my own physics. I use Unity's physics. I don't have access to their code under the hood. I don't know exactly how it works, so I can't make tests for it. Where I can see tests being done is if I'm making a multiplayer game. I can test that the networking is working correctly, or I can make sure that the UI responds correctly. But basically, I'd just be checking the state of whether an object is toggled on or off, and then whatever public fields are available for me to access.
So are they just C# tests?
I don't know. I've never done it. I looked at it. I didn't bother to actually do it. That sounds like too much work. TDD. Unity Test Runner. That's the name of it.
Yeah,
there you go, Ray Wenderlich. That's the stuff. What is a unit test? Game developers don't know.
Yeah, so that's
okay. So this is more information stuff that you were talking about.
Yeah,
correct. But how are you gonna unit test physics?
Exactly. That's what I'm wondering.
That's why
would you unit test something rule if you have 10 points and you go to this level kind of stuff though?
So the way I unit test is like whenever I add a new feature,
Yeah.
I go back and make sure everything else is working that it could possibly interfere with. So for example,
everything it touches that you worked on.
yeah, basically, because it's hard to know how those changes are going to propagate.
Yeah, I guess exactly.
So maybe testing wouldn't be a horrible idea, but for the majority of the
I don't
time,
think it's ever a horrible idea.
Well, obviously,
I think you should be careful about saying it's a horrible idea. But here, look. So they actually get some positions, or do they actually do anything though? It's just 2D, so I'm not expecting too much.
that just checked for nullability. It just made sure it was spawned.
That's pretty cool.
But you really can't add any physics or anything. I mean, it's a Unity test. So I just like.
You probably could. I don't know.
So I mean, I'd just be curious to see the results of it or anything like that, because
It's pretty cool.
I mean, it's hard to think of what to test, but that's why there's test-driven development. Yeah. Before you do anything, write a test for it. Oh, geez,
So there's a lot of different things that you'd have to test in very different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, physics would be completely different for testing, making sure animation, making sure the state of the animation is working correctly when I'm doing something.
Sure.
Making sure that, so like when you like on start or on awake or like whenever a scene loads, like let's say I am a component for player movement and I have a component on there for player inventory, for example. If I want to make sure that I can reference that script, I don't want to make every variable or everything. There's no way to make it just public, right? You have to have a reference to that script on that object.
Mm.
So if I have two separate scripts on my object, when I start, usually what I do is I check if that component is attached. And if it's not, then I usually just spit out an error, right? So it's not necessarily testing per se, but I spit out an error if something's going wrong.
Interesting.
Have you had any, I guess, I mean, it's really hard to, because like more of the issue is once it's in production or once it's over time changed, like drastically.
I've found that I prefer making my own logger. So I make a global log that's basically a singleton that says, it uses reflection that says, here's the class that it came from, here's the name of the object that's sent to the log, here's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So basically I know exactly where that thing came from and what happened.
Now, do you do that for builds that you give out, or is there any way that you can get that?
Yeah,
like,
so what I need to do is that log just writes out to I have like so there's three ways I can see to do it. One, it just outputs to the Unity editor, like debug.log just automatically outputs to the editor.
Mm-hmm.
The other way would be to give you like a tilde or a tab or an escape or something that opens up a developer menu. So you can just kind of see the log on the top. The last way, what I really need to do is make it output to a file that you can just send me. Or analytics would be nice too. But what I really need is either, I don't want to deal with analytics right now. Okay, let me rephrase that. I don't want to deal with networked analytics right now because you have to pay for that.
Oops.
No, you don't.
With Unity like Pro or whatever.
Oh, and just do other analytics like.
I just don't want to set up a whole backend. I'm having fun with the game.
You don't have to set up backend. All you have to do is send events.
It's like
It's
so
dude. We had our backend. We had our backend API developer jump on the iOS side and do analytics.
Analytics on like, so what we do in mobile, at least for analytics, usually is just like, I mean, we also create a singleton. All we do is
It's either
analytics
an
dot
event
post
or a
and
view.
then string or something.
It's an event
That's it, yeah,
or a view.
yeah. But it's usually just one line of like, let the analytics.
What's
know
the
that we
name
did
or the
this.
value?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you can pass
Or you
it
can
the value.
optionally pass parameters.
But yeah, I like to see like
But yeah,
the
that'd
top
be-
speed that people hit, like
Yeah.
how quick they completed the maps, like
How long
how long
they
they played
played.
on a map,
Yeah.
how many tries it took.
Yeah,
All that
just-
jazz.
Those are good things.
all those things would be so valuable to balance the game in such that you can either make it a little bit easier per level, like or
So
anything like that.
during my development, do I just like have people send me that file? Do I have like a button in the game that sends me the analytics, or just have it just like constantly send it to like a Firebase?
It'll go automatic. 'Cause it's
You
like
say
such-
it will go automatically, but it depends on how I set it up. Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, it'll go on events.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like analytics works on like, maybe if the person clicks on a button, it'll send an analytic that they clicked on the spot,
Gotcha.
right? And it's a super small.
Generous limits.
Yeah, it's super small. Where's analytics actually? Oh, it's up there.
Gigabyte. It's all gonna be text data, so it's not gonna be huge.
Yeah. And I wonder. I mean, I think there might be a different analytics thing for just games. I'd be curious actually. There might be something.
Yeah.
For something that's
Mhm.
specific apart from the one that Unity offers.
But then you can also get a real-time database.
That's nice.
I did have a second question, which
Yeah.
was like
Really nice.
the type of like we're talking about like patterns, right?
Yeah.
So the type of pattern that you're talking about with the game.
Probably MVC.
Yeah, but is this the pattern that you're talking about? Is it more catered because you're building in Unity, and would it be different if I was using like Godot or like something else?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's been too long since I've used Unreal, so I can't speak for Unreal. But
I-
Godot was very similar.
Yeah, I would say it like from the game development perspective, it looks like it would be the same. I mean, you have a scene like 3D or 2D, and you have characters or actors in the scene that have components on them that maybe they have light or prefabs, and it seems very like all the things
Similar
are like
talking.
that. I know Godot used kind of the node-based tree structure of that, and
That was a little different.
The whole editor is written in Godot.
But what if you were building a game in like something like SceneKit then, right?
So for
Ooh,
that,
that's a good question.
Ooh. So for that, I have the option of doing it all in code, or I can use a scene, and from that, yeah, I can kind of go the same route where I have nodes in the scene. So we have SCN scenes, and then we have SCN nodes, and those nodes are pretty much just classes that I write and make their own functionality. So if I think about it, it's probably MVC from a game development perspective.
Oh, that'll be something we're trying out or like experimenting on.
But navigation in game is so dynamic
It is so
where
different.
it is not like
How do you
one-
segregate components like that, right? In some ways.
Yeah, no. I mean, you can always hit the options.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have global navigation at that point, but then also you can always go back to the home. You can. It's very
that's
it's
true.
very
It's much-
interesting.
it's
and
much
then
different.
when they have like a level select, then it's like okay, so everywhere can go like anywhere. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that's not like hierarchical.
yeah. So
Interesting.
no, that's a really different way to think about it. But
That is kind of cool.
I don't know that much about front end web. What they use for what kind of that. I know it's more components for React, but I don't know
That's what I was
for
thinking as well.
Vue.js. I don't.
Similar.
Like MVC. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't messed
That's
with it.
like
that
that's
much.
what I'm. The
So,
little that I've seen
I
and
can't
heard
speak
about web,
that.
yeah, it seems a little different.
But yeah.
The
all
last
right.
thing I would say about this topic, by the way,
Mhm.
the only last thing is
Great topic.
Yeah, the only last thing I'm gonna add is like when we're talking about view models and like the MVC pattern,
Mm-hmm.
and where testing comes into play is that we usually just test the view models.
Yep.
And don't
Yep.
like UI
Yeah.
testing is on the view, presenter we mock for like whatever is in the view model, but the view models that would be basically tests for you to test on this.
Yep.
Thought about adding that.
The thought that I had earlier, so we were trying to wrap this up, but I feel like no matter what you're building, you're never going to escape views and models. You have to have some way to present things, you have to have some way to store data.
Mhm.
What it's all about is how you're sending information back and forth.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
It's just figuring out how to make that work for whatever platform you're going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I guess you could think of a view as like a node or an actor or an object control. Anything that you have in the scene. And what is a scene then? Is that the controller or not the?
It's kind of its own thing.
Yeah. So I
Like,
guess
it doesn't really fit,
The
right?
scene is more abstract of like, okay, everything belongs in something and it can move to move. Like, I guess for iOS, it's a view is inside of a view and a view can contain views.
iOS makes a lot
and
of
then
sense.
we
It's very
have
intuitive.
one view controller that has a view, and then we present view controllers and they have a number of views inside of them. So.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it is with the scene, I imagine, where you have a scene and then you have a ton of objects in the scene. You can't have a scene inside of a scene.
Huh.
I guess you can have a view controller inside of a view. Container views, man. Container views.
All right, next subject. I'm done with this.
All right. Oh, so you guys will have to speak more about this.
Are we going bottom to top though?
No. What is this? Oh, well, I think I know the
Wait, we're
Riot
starting with this
stuff.
and not the Google stuff?
Why not the Google stuff?
I've been waiting for the Riot stuff as well. By the way.
Riot Google?
You wrote
Did you
Riot
Riot
Google?
Google? And you're
I
Googling it?
spaced.
You Googled Google?
Shut up. What did you want to talk about with Google?
They came out with their new product line this week on
Pixel?
Tuesday. Yeah, they came out with a new Pixel, maybe some home devices stuff. But let's talk about the.
They're gonna get a ring.
We can talk about the Pixel. No, luckily they didn't bring out the ring. So
Hey, that's just like the iPhone, but we're rotated
I know,
90
right?
degrees.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna say anything with my holding my iPhone right
Any
now.
cameras on it?
Yeah, they got the camera bump, and
Unsightly.
yeah. Oof.
Are they only talking about the phone in this one? Yeah. Okay, this is actually only about the phone.
Hold on. Phablets, really? I'm out.
Oh.
I'm done with this
They're
article.
talking about Samsung's tablets. Yeah. All right, that's like
There we go,
that's,
there
I
we
was like,
go.
somebody posts one of these.
All right. You got a tablet, a phone, Lego blocks, I guess.
I don't.
Headphones and speakers.
I didn't hear about the laptop. Actually, they showed it. I wonder if this is like the Google.
Is that a laptop or a
Solar-
tablet? Tablet.
It's a laptop, most likely.
All right.
Pixel 4. Or?
Yeah. So this.
Hey, they beat Apple by $200.
It's probably why they have a crappy face sensor.
Oh, dude, I want an orange phone. Damn, it looks so good.
I want to be honest. Like
The
the phones
screen.
look,
Okay.
The phones look pretty cool.
I love the screen. The screen's amazing.
Pretty
But
nice.
other than that, I want to compare this phone with the 10, the 11.
All right.
I don't
The phone
want
comes
to
in two
compare it with
sizes,
the 11 Pro.
5.6 -ish.
Even though the 11 Pro and the 11 are the same thing,
thing.
like
Alright, we got-
price-wise, they're around the same. And
What do we got here?
They
What do we got
both
here?
have 2 cameras.
Ooh, they already have.
There we go.
Yeah.
Ooh, what a rating. What a price.
Yeah.
Color. Storage. You probably don't need 256 gigs. Screen size,
If you're
5.6.
shooting 4K 60 frames per second, you might need.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, that was an awful comparison.
That was a very basic comparison.
That's pretty bad.
That was
Let's be
literally shite.
That was a very basic comparison.
We have, there we go, Business Insider. You guys kind of know what's going on, I guess.
Oh.
No, leave me.
Oh no, dude, get out of it.
Yeah, well,
I forgot these guys do that, by the way.
yeah. Oh, should we see some photo
No,
differences? No.
why'd you do the Verge? Dude, Tom's guy, dude. He's way
Was Tom
more-
there?
Tom's
Hey,
guy.
perfect.
Yes.
Are we zoomed in still? Yeah, we are.
Oh man.
By a lot. I wonder why the last page looks so funky. Continue.
Oh.
Leave me alone.
At least he can let you continue.
Yeah, I know, right? There we go. I like how they can pro the regular and the max. Yeah, they beat him by $200. Inch less, 2 inches less on the screen size. But they're OLED versus Super Retina.
90 hertz.
It doesn't matter. It's a 90 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah.
You can't beat a higher refresh rate. Like Apple should have added 120 hertz refresh rate like their Pro and the iPad. They should add it next year, but oh my gosh.
But the battery drain?
The battery life's ridiculous. They
Yeah, you showed
boasted
me.
like
Dude, the battery on the iPhone's actually insane.
I've changed how I charge my phone. I told Sabian last night's the only time I've charged my phone.
it's pretty
And that
good.
was from like 20, 30, 40%.
Oh, damn.
But
Fast charge.
Yeah.
I like just fast charge 20 minutes or like that stuff, and then it lasts a day and a half or
Yeah.
more, and it's
Pretty insane.
It feels weird to charge it now because I don't want to hurt the battery, but I know it has
Wait,
protection against.
you really
that.
don't know the amount of RAM?
They don't
iPhone
post
11
it.
has?
They don't
Okay,
post it.
so the thing is,
I feel like you could, like,
this
monitor
source
somehow.
is bad. Well, let's just say the source is bad. And what I heard was it's 6 gigs RAM and 2 gigs are for the cameras.
Damn, that's
Dedicated.
insane.
Damn, I didn't know that. I was surprised they put 6.
Because now, like they showcased that one app could run 2 4K 60 frames per second cameras simultaneously, and you can see like. So I mean, obviously it's not raw like what you're seeing, but it's still recording 2 times with stabilization and all that. So it's kind of running ham on those. But yeah,
Interesting. I have something in mind now, I think.
Interesting. I like how they put the focal length, but then they just put the resolution. Quality comparison.
is the left the iPhone?
Yeah.
Yeah, the iPhone still has 4K on the front
Yeah.
ends.
Hey,
Pixel
they
did it.
barely beat him in battery life.
Wow.
Yeah, everybody's complaining about the 2800. It's pretty dumb they put it.
Oh,
like my
I
phone
thought
itself-
that was small.
My phone has
Yeah,
a
wow.
3100 as well,
Wow.
and I was like 2 years old.
Man, my vape batteries have like 10 times that.
That's what the sound is.
Early winner. Oh, for price. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, see, I would compare it.
iPhone 11 Pro for picture.
I would compare it with the
design
11. Like I don't
I-
like. I guess the different size is a good comparison, but they're really even if you compare the 11 with that.
Yeah,
Because
They're similar in that sense.
other than the screen, I mean, they're pretty.
pretty similar.
Yeah. The performance, I'm curious on what they say. Yeah. On every test. Oof.
I'm not even mad.
Well, they.
Dude, their Bionic chip is insane, dude.
But also, since the iPhone 10, they've started developing in-house their own graphics
Chips?
card. Yeah, the the GPUs. So
They got metal now. Why wouldn't they?
yeah, so they've been going ham on those,
Yeah.
and I mean they're just buffing their CPUs to help load that for all the machine learning. Yeah, bionic
And AR.
stuff. They're calling it.
A
geez.
tie for
Wait,
camera.
what? Wow.
For camera.
That's really interesting.
I want to see side by side.
Wait. What's this? What's the first like?
The Pixels already has a great camera.
Yeah, but the iPhone are so much better. Okay. I don't know, because the 10s. The only complaint I have with the 10s is it makes everything look kind of fuzzy, kind of
just
like,
a little bit. Yeah, like if you take a live photo, it's not very crisp.
Yeah.
Huh, really?
The 11 though still hasn't had the update for 13.2 where it has the mix of all the pictures. I mean it might be doing it, but it's hidden behind the scene. It's Deep Fusion. So they have
that over there actually.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Sorry, I didn't even read that far.
Oh, stitched together 9 shots.
Literally.
So that.
So it's literally
is
a
gonna
live
make
photos
crisp.
better.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That live photo is gonna be really weird because that's gonna have a lot of camera angles. But yeah, no, like, it's gonna be really crisp.
Special features. Whoa. Many of which make use of the new radar chip.
Oof.
Next,
We talked about that. That's...
Project Soldier.
facial recognition. Got you. Dude, your facial recognition is insane, though.
Yeah, but so what they do is your phone's asleep.
Oh, hand
and
gestures? What the
you
fuck?
reach to grab your phone, and as you're grabbing your phone, the radar detects that you're grabbing your phone and starts preparing the unlock. So then when it looks at your face, it immediately unlocks.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. So they had a Project Solly that they demoed like 3 years ago. There's a video still on YouTube, but they were talking about it. It's like a small chip, and they're talking about it with a watch. It'd be pretty sick with a watch because like you could control your watch like from a wrist far distance, like I don't know what it's like 5-inch distance, and like tweak it and stuff. That was their idea initially, and they implemented it here in Pixel 4.
That'd be super interesting.
I'm pretty excited to see what they do with it. But with no doubt though, Pixel 4 isn't maybe not the greatest phone they ever released. I mean, I'm saying that as a guy who would generally support anything that Pixel would come out with, but this year it's really not that great. The 3A on the other hand, which they released earlier this year, was a great choice of phone.
Oh yeah.
But this one on the other hand, I feel like they didn't they could have done maybe better, and they chose to go with this maybe simple route. And I feel like they should start making their own processors. Or Qualcomm's holding them back.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So they have the
Nest. Nest is their home products, by the way.
Yeah.
That's just their home line pretty much at this point.
Ooh, it makes your... oh, dude. I love it that it's Wi-Fi. I wonder if it does meshing of the Wi-Fi, so you can have one in each room, and it'll share the Wi-Fi between them.
One of the guys who came to the meetup does that.
That's pretty cool. Pixel Buds.
They came up with another version of the Pixel Buds, number 2. If you guys know that last time it got a little hype because they did this automatic translation thingy.
Oh,
you could talk and then it would automatically translate. It was just pretty futuristic.
Yeah.
But I don't know how the... can you Google this, by the way? Pixel Bud Go? I'm curious about it. But yeah, I don't know how the Pixel Buds actually perform. I haven't seen this one. This is the only product I haven't seen of theirs.
Food's here.
Nice. Okay. It looks like a Mac from that angle.
Oh,
with that cut there.
That cut.
Yeah.
And yeah.
How are the specs though, dude? Oh man. What? Okay. Interesting. What do you think about that price? Slightly high.
Honestly, that's so tough. Is there a graphics card to even maintain this? It's really just going to be an i7.
They came out.
It's going to be a 9th gen i7, maybe.
They came out with
8th
the
gen
Pixel Slate last year.
Yeah.
And the Pixel Slate was this, not the laptop, but a Windows Surface kind of tablet. And one of the major complaints was just that the graphics was intensive, but the CPU wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
For that graphics, so it could very, very well be a problem.
Because 4K, I mean, mine, my MacBook is, limited to 4, at some point, and it has a graphics card dedicated. But for a 4K display on your thing, and I mean, you don't get 4K out of every monitor, but just to have 4K always on, it's kind of intensive.
But yeah, that's what they came out with this time. I'll tell you one thing they did demo.
I guess the weirdest part is it's a Go laptop too, and I wouldn't expect to have 4K being a battery drainer.
I hope it isn't. This has been a complaint for their product, for the laptop. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested in this, in their laptops, but
I got a question
I can't read
from Rhythm.
Ooh, are you guys Android or iOS personally?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm iOS. I'm Zach. I'm iOS. I'm an iOS developer. I've been doing it for like 5 years. So yeah, you can say I'm in the walled garden ecosystem. But I do have a gaming computer and I do love Linux. So
When you say gaming computer, you mean Windows, because obviously Windows.
well, Macs don't game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they can.
They struggle to game.
They struggle, but
Unless it's on metal,
Yeah, that's true.
which
Anyway,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, you want to do yours as well?
Sure. I'm Sabian. Just making sure that they know who's
Yeah,
saying what.
yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer iPhone personally. I had an Android up until, I don't know, 2013, 2012.
Those are good years of Android, my man.
Yeah, I always liked Android because their cameras were better.
Oh, even that time? Wow. Surprise.
And then I don't know. I went to the store and they're like, "Hey, you want to try an iPhone?" And I played with it on the stand. I was like, "Oh, this is actually pretty cool." And then as I started playing with it more, I was like, "Wow, the user interface is actually pretty sweet." And they always had better apps.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
That was another driver. And then as far as development for either one goes, I would pick iOS solely because the market share is bigger. Like if you're gonna try and make money on an app, people are more likely to spend more money on your app on the iOS store.
The market share is more on Android for users.
That's a ripoff. You pay $200 and you get an actual processor.
An actual.
It's like
I know, right?
you pay the normal price and you get like the M3, not even i3. I mean, i3s are dead, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Mobile i3.
I don't have any hope in
This is the price that. Maybe
But no, this is still a mobile i5.
Yeah,
Nah,
that's what I'm saying.
The cheap
But
computer is something your mom would
2
buy.
times. Well, this is cubed. Mobile cubed.
That's something my mom would buy for schoolwork, and then be
Exactly.
pissed at it in a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is what they would do for school. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Third guy in the room.
Yeah.
Parsha.
Per shot.
Android developer at work. I do have an Android phone, which I've had for a while.
You've also done iOS development.
Yeah. So I have done iOS development. If I had to gather it in years, I'd have to be a year or two, professionally.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the side right now, I still help out when I can on iOS. I actually do it these days as well. I've been doing a side project, so it's pretty fun.
Huh. Thanks for the information.
There's stuff I have to tell you, maybe. But yeah, I have also used an iPhone for a while, in my first year of college, and then my last year of college as well. My phone broke in the third year. But yeah, I mean, this year, actually 3 weeks ago, switched away from Apple products. I have my own Linux machine now finally, so that took away my personal Mac, which is great.
Which is great.
Well, it's because personally I don't use much of Apple's ecosystem,
Yeah,
right?
it has to be really annoying to dip the toe, and that's kind of why I got off of Chrome and was
personally, I like to try and not be in a ecosystem, so I'm not fully dependent on Google either. I try to keep it separated out just to try things out, and the variety is always kind of nice in that way.
We're
reading the questions.
He says he's done iOS and Android professionally, and now I'm a Kotlin Android dev with an iPhone.
Wait, who's asking that question?
Rhythm.
Yeah.
Rhythm. You can make iOS apps in Kotlin as well, by the way. Now.
Flutter.
Kotlin multi-platform.
Yeah.
It's
Kotlin
pretty hot.
Yeah.
The next topic. Speaking of multi-platform.
Oh wait, is it actually?
Oh, God damn it. It's the next topic, okay?
We'll just jump back to Writing. We'll jump back to Writing.
Alright, so Zach posted... Actually, you personal messaged me. We forgot to post it.
Yeah.
So .NET 5 is coming out.
So this is really interesting. I frequently look for Swift outside of the realm of Apple. I look for Swift on Windows, Swift on Android, and just other things like that Swift's being used for backend. That's why I look into Vapor and really support Vapor. But this release of .NET 5 actually has Objective-C and Swift 5 interoperability with it's supported on
It's actually going to be
multiple
cross-platforms.
It's not all platforms, so it's kind of unique. But nice. It's really interesting on how they're going to do it. I have a few ideas, but I am curious how they're going to interop.
If they're doing Java interoperability with all platforms and then Objective-C and Swift interoperability with supported multi-platform or multiple operating systems, I'm guessing that means iOS and macOS.
Yeah, notice the wording. It's Java on all platforms.
Yes.
Objective-C and Swift on multiple. So
Yes,
I assume they're just talking about the iOS ecosystem.
Yeah.
Or Apple ecosystem.
I'm wondering basically, apart from maybe dipping their toes into machine learning, it makes somebody who does .NET development be able to make apps more easily that way. If they're able to.
Dude, I'm waiting for like Flutter and Xamarin to just like merge bodies.
I don't.
No.
It's obviously, it's not, but it would be super cool to like.
What's Xamarin have cooler than Flutter?
Nothing. But
Why would they merge? Flutter's very cool on its own.
That's true.
Except for the language.
But I like C#.
Sorry, Dart, I won't ever love you.
Rip Dart.
Should have been Rust, honestly.
Wasn't Dart made by
Okay.
IntelliJ?
No, not IntelliJ.
No.
So JetBrains made Kotlin.
Yeah, JetBrains.
That's what it is. Kotlin, not Dart. Sorry.
Google made Dart.
Gotcha.
I feel
Yeah.
like was dying out, but they brought back for Flutter. I'm like, oh,
Got
that's
it.
nice.
Yeah, no. So this is really interesting, but I'm curious on how they're going to do the interoperability.
Because then I could do Unity in Swift, and that'd be dope.
Yeah.
But watch it only work for like the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, no.
If they make
I don't know.
It'll be interoperable for writing. Most likely the deployment.
Not
will
compiling,
still be,
yeah.
Should be.
It'll depend on which
But-
Unity has like 2 deployment.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's really interesting on that. But
That's-
no,
that's
I
something else.
the guy that posted this on a forum, or at least I saw, said they were also doing it for the benefits of machine learning. TensorFlow for Swift is in beta. It's been 2 years in beta. It's pretty popular, it seems, because the whole thing with Swift is they have a specific version of Swift that has interoperability with Python. And you just write Swift code, and it's Python. Like, you do python.import numpy, and you have a Swift variable or a Swift object that is that library.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's pretty unique, but I'm curious on how they'll do it.
Agreed.
Just gonna upvote rhythm.
Agreed with the rhythm statement over there. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, there you go.
But when
No,
you,
that's
now
too true.
that you mention that interoperability, I wonder if that's what they're doing. I wonder if they'll say like, hey, in Java we have this library, or in Swift we have this library. Now you can use that in .NET.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, so you could use UIKit in .NET.
Because everything I'd
Maybe.
have to do for him would
Yeah.
be like wrapped in like C or that stuff for you to use. At least that's what I've done before. Is for one thing we had to do in Unity was
expose it in C.
expose the share sheet to allow them to click on something and expose the native share sheet for iOS. And I had to do an Objective-C wrapped module and give it to the Unity developer, and then he put it in Unity, and then that ran the code. Like,
That's fucking awful.
so if you guys can just take stuff and use it, that'd be
But
great.
that'd be pretty sick. Like if you could actually access, like
Dude, UI collection
native-
view.
Yeah,
Something like
if
that.
you could access that from
But the
.NET.
problem
.NET.
is it's all contained. Like UIKit, Cocoa, it's all contained. You know, that's the worst part.
I think you'd still have.
and that's why it's not really growing. So I don't think you'll have access with that. You'll have access.
Sadly,
with
it's probably going to be
Foundation.
similar. Yeah, it's probably going to be similar to how it works on Linux right now.
But
You can
there's
just use it like CLI.
there's
based.
an underground movement for Swift. It's Swift everything. It's don't use like try not to use any library from Apple and make it fully based off of Swift.
Wow.
There's quite a bit of people that
That's pretty cool.
and it's pretty unique. But yeah, I guess that's how you'll have to do it, and that's how Ubuntu people have to do it. If you use Swift, no IDE to develop. You don't got Xcode in Ubuntu.
That's Ubuntu folks.
Even
We'll
if-
keep it strong.
Even if like Apple's practices could be shady or shitty or treat their consumers awful, like I'll always like have a secret love for Swift.
Well,
It's
I think
just such a good
I'll
language.
say this: the one reason why Swift is so like successful, merely the fact that they open sourced it for the community to like help in like making proposals, like gaming proposals.
Yeah.
is a big factor.
Oh,
Well, yeah, because it was so young. It didn't
no.
have enough
Well,
features.
that
It
and
doesn't
then
matter.
It just
It's like Objective-C was only popular because it was the only language.
Yeah.
If they replace Objective-C with Swift and don't open source it, it is going to be as popular, actually worse than Objective-C.
Yeah.
They had to have open sourced
Yeah,
it.
that was the-
Otherwise, okay, cool, you learn Swift for what? Apple? Like, that's still how the stigma is right now, but like you can do back end. People are trying to port it to Windows. It's a really important thing, and even Chris Latner is like, it would be great to get it to
Port it,
Windows for
yeah.
TensorFlow, for machine learning, for servers, for anything like that. But then, yeah, I mean, we have SourceKit, we have all that stuff, but it's just kind of stuck in limbo on one OS,
yeah.
which is really unique. I don't know. Like, it goes with C++. What the hell?
It's like that's nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, we gotta look at the Dorito.
Transcript and transpilation though.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. What was going on with Riot? I was not up to date.
Dude, I was gonna save that. Riot has released so many things. This
7
week.
new games?
7 new games because there's
Declaration of War against Blizzard.
Yeah,
Get out of
they
here.
Have, they have 10 years. They have their 10-year anniversary. They came out with like 7 different games. A TV show they're gonna come up with. like insane things. Like they're coming out with a first-person shooter, a card game.
That's crazy.
They're coming out with a MMO.
Wait. This is so shitty.
This is
to combat Blizzard being a dick against against the U.S., Riot, owned by China, is going to release a bunch of games. Like what?
Hopefully not.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's just
Look at that. Riot, owned by the largest Chinese tech. Goddamn, that's so dumb.
that's a good article right there.
I love League of Legends. I hate that it's owned by China.
Yeah, for sure.
But the weird part is Blizzard's is in hot waters for the Hong Kong thing.
Did you see what they did today again? They banned 3 more players.
Oh
Hearthstone
my!
players.
Wow.
For the same reason.
Wow.
And, yeah, they put it. They had a stream. They're not banned from Hearthstone. They're banned from
the
competitive.
tournament,
From tournaments.
Wow.
But they went in knowing they were going to get banned.
No, that's even worse. I don't care. Like, now they can play it casually.
Yeah.
They can't actually play it for a job and what they're dependent on for how many years.
Yeah.
That's even worse.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
on. That's horrible.
That's Blizzard, though.
Yeah, but
like
I don't like. That's so petty to be like, oh, you can still play the game though. Like, we're not going to chase.
they
that.
definitely
like,
could
oh my
have.
gosh.
They definitely could have came back. Like people still would have been pissed
Yeah.
after the whole Blitzchung thing, no matter what. But if they came back and they said, we want to keep Hearthstone and our like streaming services like completely politics free, that's fine. But as soon as they like issued that apology to China and then started blocking people from deleting their accounts,
No, because once you put it politics free, then it's like you can't wear any flag, and it's like even if you wear like an American
But I think
jacket, or it's like they can't like.
I think that's
what platform are they on?
I think that's what Riot is doing though. Riot has like the League World Championships going on, and you don't see mishaps happening like this just because even though there's a Hong Kong team there. Like I think they generally just said like keep it away.
Yeah,
it's not like they encourage either side really. They're just saying don't. Just don't even.
So I'm curious if someone does it for a Riot.
I would
tournament.
be interested to see what.
What if somebody was just like, yo, what's going on with like the killing the gays in Uganda? Like, what if it's like almost a human rights issue? You know, it's like it's not necessarily politics, but like. Okay. Also, the Hong Kong thing is also kind of human rights. Not gonna lie, because it's like, people like harvesting organs and whatnot.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Anywho. You didn't hear about that?
No, it's just
Anywho.
cite your sources. Oh my gosh!
Go to YouTube.
No, I'm
Yeah. r/nsfw.
Anyways, the new games from Riot, by the way, I'm kind of excited to see what they bring. I'm personally excited just because it's like probably the same world.
Mm-hmm.
I like the graphics too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like the feel.
Interesting stuff.
kind of, if we're still talking about games, I hate to bring it up, but as a game developer, it's very interesting to see Fortnite do the whole black hole thing.
Yeah, what was that?
So that was their whole season reset where they changed. Apparently, they changed the whole map and everything. I didn't look too much in it, but they literally had a black hole. So if you went to the game, and I guess this works because it's free to play. You know, no one paid for the game, so they can't. They had a black hole. Like literally, it looked like a black. Like we'll just look it up. Yeah, this is really unique from a. Like,
I know they've done like cool season end things.
No, this is like I bet people got mad about it because they couldn't.
Just type in black hole.
Sorry, I just type in black hole. Like no, nothing else.
Let's learn the black hole.
Oh, Fortnite.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
So what happens?
But yeah, so this shows up and
they wiped Fortnite map wiped out.
So when you when you go to Fortnite, this is what you see. You don't see pretty much anything else. But now it's back, and now they have a new map, and they changed like everything, and they kind of well, so they didn't change everything, but they kind of did a huge update. Like
so, like Fortnite does this right, like every year or every season of theirs, they do this like big cinematic thing in their map.
Yeah, they're doing those, but I guess this is their season 2.
Possibly, that's pretty surprising. Oh, that makes sense because like in their other maps, like what they do is like they'll have this world like server event happen at a certain time. Like one time they had this like rocket launch from the ground and stuff. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's chapter 2. Yeah.
Oh, so like that's pretty awesome. Actually.
Yeah, so they have the chapter 2 map and changes in this. And I don't want to touch it on too much, but I just want to understand it from a game developer's perspective. Like, okay, so they added workbenches that you can upgrade stuff. This, I mean, it just changes the whole game how it's played.
Was it
But
drastically?
like, oh my gosh. Okay, so you can pull people towards you. Buried treasure can queue in another game without returning the lobby. Okay.
Seems kind of complex now.
Power lines work as zip lines. Is a healing. So I mean, this is just interesting from a game development perspective.
Why would they make these decisions?
Going from your mechanics, going from like home, and just switching, but doing it more drastically. Of okay, we're not going to let you play as we reset the servers and change everything.
I don't know. I almost like it because I feel like the majority of games nowadays are just I'm going to add more content. Rather than I'm going to change how you play, which I think kind of keeps it fun.
The reason they're like that is because you paid for them.
That's true. Yeah.
like
You're paying for content.
to do this stuff where it's like you actually take away the game.
Yeah, you're paying for more of the stuff that you already had. I guess is that model.
It's interesting though. I mean, I'm kind of still impressed by what they pulled off sometimes. But
I think that's about Riot.
200 IQ marketing. It's so cool to see their ideas as they came along. Yeah.
if it was right,
no, it is really smart.
I
Yeah,
think it was
because
about Fortnite.
actually it's interesting because it's under the hood, and so I have a coworker whose friend works at Riot, and so apparently even he was saying the coworker was saying that like his friend was so excited when it came out because they had to keep it under wraps and whatnot, and there have been hints about this because like there were hints about a mobile game coming out, and there's like a fighting game that came out as well, like a Tekken style one.
Dude,
It's
there's
insane,
the Teamfight Tactics that came out.
TFT on mobile is out as well now. So
Oh shit.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Like there's a lot of things. So,
I don't
like,
mind Teamfight Tactics. The balance was awful at the beginning. Not gonna lie.
and to bring out Earth
Dude,
again.
just keep Earth out. God
They
damn,
keep
like that's
it-
all I
they
want.
They said Earth is out with champ select, and I was like, I gotta install it.
So, all random Earth has been in the PBE for a while.
You were saying
Yeah, but now regular Earth is, so I can pick a champion, and I was like, this is gonna be
nice.
friggin' awful.
Anyways, I like what they did. I like what they brought up, honestly. It's pretty cool.
Alright, last one. Right before this, we were talking about TypeScript, which is
Pull up the
basically...
page.
Yeah.
It's C++, right?
No, I don't.
What is that?
Duck? I have
In,
literally not a clue.
typing discipline. That's so typing discipline duck. That's a new one. I haven't seen that.
Is duck where it trails?
Duck typing.
I forget.
If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it must be a duck.
Yeah. Okay.
Determine if an object can be used for a particular purpose.
It's just if it's the same thing, right? If it has the same like.
Interesting. Like inheritance?
Yeah, yeah. I think it looks
Interfaces?
inside. So,
Interesting.
so
I don't know.
in this little tiny example that we have right here. Hey, this one's good. No, so a duck and a dog both have the same function, or both have the same variable. But yeah, they can just kind of.
Use like def for everything, like functions and variables.
Was that Ruby? I don't know. Anywho,
Anyways,
yeah,
TypeScript
no.
adds static typing to JavaScript, which is one of my biggest gripes with functional programming. Not knowing what the type is. Like I can't just click on a variable and know what type it is.
Yeah, I guess I have that.
You
You
mean
know,
with dynamic
like
languages.
an IDE.
Dynamic language in general.
But then like Swift is like half dynamic, half and it's not dynamic. It's just
You can add
half
var.
type inferred.
Yes.
And type inference is, like I said in the chat, good and bad. Because it's good because if you don't want to type the generic type out, that's property generic type, a tuple for value error. If you don't want to type that out, it could be inferred. It just slows down the compiler a little. So there's that good and bad. And
I think it's nice to not have to type out like a super long name.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I don't know what type it is, like if I just can't click, my biggest problem is like if I'm in an IDE and most of them have like some way to like go to like the reference of the class. With JavaScript, that just a lot of the times it just doesn't work.
Yeah, no.
I think that has to be because it's a dynamic type language again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can do type inference at runtime, right?
Yeah. I'll say that like the one cool type thingy that Swift brought in recently that like kind of changed the way I was thinking as well is like with the sum keyword where it takes the generics out of like the function to like the inner side of the function.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it properly, but it's like
It's opaque, like return
Opaque
type,
returns,
and it's a pretty complex topic, and I don't still fully understand it, but I've like used it. It's kind of maybe something we want to touch on another thing, or maybe after this, but kind of touching on. It's a strict superset of JavaScript, so it's
syntactic sugar. That's all it is.
Yeah, so I mean,
okay.
in the end, you're writing JavaScript.
So like it literally says it compiles to
Okay,
JavaScript.
so yeah, that leads to the next topic, right? We were reading this and Zach and Parsha weren't 100% aware of trans compiles. I learned about this today at work. So trans compilation is basically compiling from one language to another, right? So the biggest...
I shared the XML thing. Don't
Got
tell
four
me I
people
don't know
likes.
what transcompile is.
It's all good.
It's okay. Where was it? Damn,
So what are you
that
saying
was
about
something
that?
weird. No, keep talking. I want to show this too because this
Anyways,
is
so
related to it.
where it came from, right, is browser support, right? Not all browsers support the same version of JavaScript. Like Edge, for example, it's not going to support JavaScript or ES6 or whatever the hell it's called. So what you have to do is whenever you're done, like working on whatever you're working on, you transcompile it down to a version that all browsers are compatible with.
Oh. But like what's the version that all browsers are compatible with? Is that like a standard?
Like you'd use Babel, and it would either create I don't know if it creates like multiple versions or if I don't know if it's just like such an old version of JavaScript that everybody supports it.
Wow.
Because like everything that's been added to JavaScript like isn't like necessarily. I don't want to say new language features. It's more just syntax, right?
True.
Like the core of JavaScript hasn't changed in a long time.
So that's why I'm wondering, like, does WebAssembly bring up like the fact that maybe they don't need to have that low barrier standard on web browsers and they can run whatever? I don't know.
That's why I'm super excited about WASM. WebAssembly. Sorry. For those that aren't aware, WASM allows you to write in different languages and allow it to compile and run on the web. Oh boy, we're in. That's the Docker one.
Yeah, I shared it this one.
What?
That is literally the worst.
We refer to this on XML, VM, JVM.
Dude, there's so many languages that run on the JVM. I didn't realize this until today. Like Scala, Groovy, Java, Kotlin. Doesn't Kotlin run on the JVM?
Unless it's Kotlin.
And then there's
Kotlin native.
There's a new Lisp one that runs on it. Oh, Clojure.
Clojure, yeah. I forgot Clojure. That's one.
Yeah. But no, this is really interesting. But yeah, in the end, you're just writing JavaScript, and it's still optionally static, right?
I can't wait until JavaScript isn't a thing anymore. I fucking hate it.
I know, boys. But again, a lot of so the thing is, that, like, a lot of people like support JavaScript a lot because of how flexible it is, and there are a lot of people who think that that's the wrong thing. So it's one of those arguments that I find hard to like shift anytime soon as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like
the argument is JavaScript is like C.
What?
JavaScript's the language that's shared between all browsers and all web. C is the language shared between all
operating systems.
Languages. Like you can talk Kotlin to C, and then to Swift, and you can talk Swift.
But
to
I
C
think the difference is the fact that like it's not the lowest that it can go.
Yeah,
and for the type of safety that it provides.
And that's what they like.
Is it the best?
I mean, it seems like everyone says it's like. It's the only thing that runs on everything. And I mean, that's because browsers supported it.
Yeah, but is it the most efficient that every browser can support, right? That's what I'm asking.
I mean, every browser supports it.
But it's the most...
That's the argument, though. I'm not trying to make that argument. I'm just saying every browser supports it. No browser is going to pick a language and then optionally develop it and then support it and then have all the things.
Exactly.
We have all... I don't know. I'm not a big fan of JavaScript, but there's a lot of, knowledge on it. There's a lot of everything shared.
I think it's like one of the most popular. Interesting.
Weird. But anyways.
That's about all we got. Check the chat, make sure we don't got anything else.
I think the last thing I'll add to this whole thing is that we'll try and just get podcasts out for this, like actual podcasts.
Yeah, at some point we'll kind of clip videos or audio of this and make a podcast out of the kind of the extra stuff that we're doing, not necessarily the one-leaf stuff.
Yeah.
Just kind of these fun talks at the end.
For sure. Seems easy enough.
Other than that, it's the Extra Life event. Oh!
On the 9th of November?
Yep.
Which was not changed. It was always 9th, by the way, guys. It was always the 9th.
Don't panic.
One lift.
The E didn't work.
We should name our team
One Life.
We got the team. We got...
No? Did you not spell right? Was it...
It just
Wait, who's the person below that?
That was me.
We got people.
Nice.
So feel free to join the roster and spread the word or donate.
Can a person join 2 teams?
I haven't.
You can donate to a team though.
Yeah.
If you don't want to join it.
But make sure that you donate to OneLeaf and not Sabian. Just
well,
show them who's the winner.
No, look. It's 25 to OneLeaf and 50 from me, and then it adds up to 75. So like everybody on the team adds up to our goal. We're trying to raise $1,000 for the children's hospital. That's the goal.
Donate to OneLeaf.
Donate to OneLeaf.
Oh, look, we got Shakuma over here for a OneLeaf. Nice. Thank you, Shakuma. And then let's not look who donated to Sabian because.
All right, that was good.
All right, I don't think we have any more questions, so I think we'll just sign off. Thank you all for listening.
See ya.
See ya.